Hey guys, this is Red and Blue, and I am back, and it's good to be back. And first of all, Happy New Year to everyone. Hope you had a wonderful Christmas break, New Year's, holiday season, whatever it might be. A nice holiday as myself. I enjoyed like a nice break in the cold of France, which was lovely. But yeah, now we're back, and there's actually a lot of things to talk about. So let's just dive in. We're going to be talking mostly about Mercato today. But before we get into that, there's actually a topic I wanted to touch on. I think this wasn't widely talked about in English-speaking media, but during the Christmas break, actually, I think the day before Christmas, we lost a former assistant manager of PSG in Jean-Louis Gasset. He was a very iconic figure in French football, is what I would say. He was our assistant manager in PSG twice. First under Luis Fernandez in the early 2000s, so I think between 2001 and 2003. And then he was the assistant coach for Laurent Blanc when Laurent Blanc was the manager of PSG. So the whole Zlatan era of it all. And beyond that, he had a very, very rich career in French football and even international football. He was a Montpellier man first and foremost. He managed Montpellier 3 times during his career, managed Caen, managed Saint-Etienne, managed Bordeaux, managed Marseille. He even managed Ivory Coast for a couple of years. And so he was, like I said, a fairly iconic person in French football. Not someone who would grab the headlines or anything like this, but someone who was always a known presence and a known quantity in French football. And hearing people talk about him, is someone that was extraordinarily well liked and respected by his players and by people in football universe. And I think couple of stories that really came up of his time in PSG. First, when he was in PSG in the 2000s, so he was pre-Qatar PSG, and obviously the 2000 was we were coming off of a very strong decade in the 90s, but at the same time, the level of the club was starting to drop off a little bit. But he was there at the time where Ronaldinho was a PSG player, and he's actually apparently with Luis Fernandez, both of them were instrumental in replacing Ronaldinho from a number 10 position to the left flank of the attack. Ronaldinho came to PSG. That was his first European club after Brazil. And obviously in Brazil, he was playing a central role in midfield, really organizing the game as a number 10. And the sense was that in France, given the physicality and the intensity of French football and European football, it would be hard for him physically to really not compete, because obviously Ronaldinho could compete anywhere, but really show his best features there. And so they decided to push him back on the left flank, which is obviously something that works really well for Ronaldinho throughout his career, and the position that he kept throughout. And apparently, there was a story of Brazil playing against Ivory Coast at some point when Gasset was the coach of Ivory Coast, and Ronaldinho giving his jersey to Gasset. So that shows the respect and the fact that those relationships worked really well for both sides. The other funny stories that I heard when he was assistant coach for Laurent Blanc, and so during the Zlatan era. So Laurent Blanc was known to be a very hands-off kind of coach, really more of a general manager, English style widow. So Laurent Blanc was really looking at the match day tactics and the starting 11, but wouldn't really get involved in the day-to-day aspect of it all. And so Gasset would be in charge of all of the training, of the relationship with a bunch of players, including the biggest names that we had in our locker room at the time. And apparently, so Zlatan came out and said that Gasset was a wonderful man. I think that's the quote, a wonderful man, which coming from Zlatan obviously means a lot. And apparently, there's a story that Gasset would arrange for Zlatan to win all of the games in training the day before games, because obviously Zlatan hated to lose, and Gasset knew that Zlatan would be the difference maker in the games, and so he would arrange for Zlatan to be in top mood coming into the game, and so for him to win all of the games in training the day before. which is kind of a funny story, but really, like, I don't know, like, says something about the man management. And, you know, even Mbappe came out in the media with a nice tribute to the man. I think everyone in French football was a little bit shocked and saddened at the news. Like I said, if you're someone in French football who can be liked in Marseille and in Paris, and no one has anything bad to say about you, that says a lot. And so sadly, he's gone now. Hopefully rest in peace, and, you know, thinking of obviously don't know any of them, but like thinking of the families and friends and all of the people that he knew. Anyway, beyond that, let's talk about Mercato as well, because we are the 1st of Jan, and so the January window is officially open. There's not been a huge amount of chatter around PSG, kind of reminiscent of the summer, really, and, you know, I don't think anyone expects us to do a huge amount of business this January, but there's a couple of interesting rumors that have come up. First, a lot of it is focusing on our defense, which I think is interesting, and I think in itself sends a signal, because we know that there's been talk about an attacker on the right flank for the longest time. There's been talk about midfield and midfielders for the longest time. But I think in defense, the general consensus was that with Zabarny coming last summer, we were pretty much set. But we're still hearing a lot. On the way out, there's a recurring question mark around Beraldo, and whether, you know, he's going to be leaving or not. We don't know at this point. The general word on the street is that he would like to be playing more so that he can regain his spot with the Brazil team ahead of the World Cup. Reality of it, if you ask me, is that he's getting plenty of playing time in PSG, and it's just that he hasn't really been performing as well as he ought to be part of the Brazil team. But still, you know, that's an open point of conversation. The latest on this is that Barcelona, who was interested at one point, is not going to move for him in Jan. That PSG doesn't want to loan him, and so it would have to be a transfer if he goes anywhere. There were rumors about him in Palmeiras in Brazil, but it's, you know, very questionable that he would want to leave Europe and go back to South America. And due respect to Palmeiras, obviously, but also, like, there's a rival of his boyhood club of Sao Paulo, so it's kind of weird in a way. But yeah, anyway, rumors are going on. We'll see. On the way in, there's been a rumor that popped up in Portuguese media last week in Abola, that says PSG was very interested in kind of looking at making an offer for Ousmane Diomande of Sporting Portugal, and also looking at Benfica's Thomas Araujo. So I think, you know, Diomande, like, it's been a name that's been in the PSG orbit for a long time. He's a, you know, highly rated defender. Apparently Real Madrid is also looking at him at the moment, couple of English team as well. So there's a lot of interest in world football. He's valued at about 45 million euros, so it's a relatively expensive one. And I think the context for this was more for him to be able to be a potential replacement for Marquinhos, which is really, like, questionable, because, like, obviously we got Zabarny, who we brought in for this. Even if Zabarny hasn't done everything right, he's still valued and he's still a long-term prospect for us. So I don't really see the club taking in another player 6 months later. Like, it feels fishy. The other name that came out, Thomas Araujo, also one that's been a long-term prospect of PSG. Yeah, don't have that much to say about him, honestly. Like, I think he's more on the left side of central defense, so potentially more of a Beraldo replacement, but at the same time, like he's a decently strong central defender. Would he come to be the number 2 under William Pacho, who plays, like, literally every game that he can? I don't really see it. And true to form, there were denials of this news that came through PSG influencers and people on Twitter, that those rumors were actually, like, not founded. So we'll have to see. But it didn't feel like either one of them was really that likely. Beyond that, we know that the club, PSG, is interested in Bayern Munich player Dayot Upamecano, who's running out his contract and will be free of contract next June. The latest on this is that the player looks more towards renewing his contract with Bayern Munich, but nothing has been signed, nothing has been announced just yet. Real Madrid was also interested in him, but yeah, it looks like he's going to be renewing his contract in Bayern. A shame if you ask me, because that's to me like one of the top 3 defenders in the world at the moment, and maybe not number 3. So that would have been an incredible piece of business. But you never know. Things can turn around. We'll keep an eye out, but doesn't look that likely right now. So that's kind of like the news that we had in central defense. Beyond that, I think like at the moment, my personal sense, I'll give it to you, is that we have a lot of players who are needing contract extension, from Dembele to Barcola to Mbaye to like literally like there's a list of 4 or 5 players. Mayulu as well needs one. There's a list of 4 or 5 players who do need a contract extension, and where we know it's being negotiated at the moment. And the fact is that none of them seem to have been concluded just yet. And so I wonder how much that's impacting PSG's like leverage, like PSG's flexibility on the transfer market. Maybe they want, obviously, like we've decreased our wage bill like very significantly the past couple of years, but maybe we want to keep that flexibility for the contract extension. There's also been talk about giving Luis Enrique a lifetime contract or like a very long contract with PSG, which we'll see. I think obviously like every PSG fan absolutely love Luis Enrique and so on, but I know football like minds turn around very quickly. So I think it'd be great to have him under a long-term contract. I think lifetime is maybe a little bit premature, but whatever. If they want to keep working, if we want to keep working together with him for the long run, I'm all for that. But let's also not set ourselves up for a disappointment 2 years from now where things turn ugly, and then all of a sudden we have to pay some crazy fees to get him out, because relationship in football rarely last a long time, and for one Ferguson, for one Wenger, there's a lot of coaches that get pushed out for lack of results. So let's be mindful of that. And then finally, like the last thing I wanted to mention, there's been a couple of rumors coming out of Germany of players that PSG might be looking at, more on the midfield and attacking side, actually, which I think is interesting. The first one is probably like the most recent of rumors in the last, I think, 48 hours. Sky Sports UK is saying that the young Ivorian winger Yann Diomande could be a target of PSG. He's currently in Leipzig. He got transferred from Leganés in Spain last summer for 20 million euro, and he's been performing really well. A very sharp and powerful winger, 19-year-old, apparently also being talked about for Manchester United. It's feeling relatively unlikely for this winter. Leipzig has said that they put a price tag on him over 100 million euro. So 6 months after he arrived, obviously there's no contract issues for them. So I don't know. It feels like we might be paying through the nose to get him. Also, I'm naturally skeptical of when we're competing with Manchester United. Clearly, they don't have the strongest track record of picking the best players. So I'm not sure I want to be picking the ones that they're interested in. But yeah, we'll see. Like, he's been on a meteoric rise. He came to Spain on a free from a US university in Jan 2025, so literally a year ago. After 6 months, so initially he was going to be playing with their B team. After 2 months, he made his way to their first team. 4 months later, he gets transferred to Leipzig for 20 million euros. And now 6 months after that, we're talking about him in PSG or Man United for 100 million euro. It's pretty crazy, if you ask me. So maybe one to keep an eye on for next summer if he keeps performing. But yeah, for this winter might still be a little bit early, and I don't know if I entirely buy him. He plays on both sides of the attack. winger on both sides. He's got both feet. He's relatively versatile. So he does have a few elements that really tick the box in terms of, what Luis Enrique might be looking at, what we typically are looking at in the transfer market. But yeah, not entirely certain how much I buy into this one. The other name that came out of Germany is Swiss midfielder Johan Manzambi, who's playing in Freiburg, 20-year-old. He's kind of a very modern number 6, so a defensive midfielder, but also with very, very strong technical skills. So he could be a nice replacement for Vitinha. A nice substitute for Vitinha. Obviously, no one is replacing Vitinha, but a nice substitute for Vitinha. Freiburg is looking to make a transfer record-breaking fee, which for them could be somewhere around like 40 million euro or something like this. But there too, it feels like more like a transfer for next summer rather than one that's likely to happen this winter. He's a very, very highly talked about prospect in world football. But yeah, like it doesn't feel like Freiburg is going to want to part ways with him mid-season. And given the amount of interest, like, yes, they can probably afford to hold him until next summer and get a full fee for him. Last thing, actually, and I didn't really prepare it in my rundown, but the last rumor I wanted to mention is actually coming out of Spain, where Spanish media seems to still be operating under delusions for Vitinha, that Real Madrid is going to somehow get Vitinha from us next summer. So obviously never bet against Real Madrid in a transfer market, because those guys can sometimes make the impossible happen. But in this case, so the rumors coming out of Spain are evolving minute by minute. I made a video about this, I think 3 months ago, because they were already talking about this, and it was already complete nonsense. But now they've been saying that there's not a clause anymore in the contract of Vitinha, but a gentleman's agreement that he could be leaving PSG if he wanted to, for a fee that would be less than 100 million euros. Makes me laugh. Real Madrid, please wake up. 100 million is what you paid for, when you pick up midfielders out of Monaco, with little experience and little references on world football. Here we're talking about the number 3 in the Ballon d'Or and literally the best midfielder in the world right now. So yeah, we're not talking about Aurélien Tchouaméni and so on. So, if ever it became a reality, there's no doubt in my mind that the price tag would be a lot higher than 100 million euro. And indeed, the latest that I've seen, which is really yesterday, was apparently Real Madrid is saying that they're going to be selling Vini Jr. And then reinvesting that money to get Vitinha. And the article was even saying that they're not going to go straight for an exchange, because they know that right now Vitinha is worth a lot more money than Vinicius Jr. And so they want to take the money on one side and make a deal with PSG on money on the other. Spanish media are actually saying that PSG is going to be interested in Vinicius Jr., which, if you look at the left flanker of our attack, is really literally the last place we need players. I think Spaniards in general, and Spaniards football fans in particular, and Spaniards fans of Real Madrid and Barcelona, really need to stop living in crazy town, because this is just it's not funny anymore. Seriously, Vitinha has a contract with PSG until 2029. Is the center guy of the project, and literally the cornerstone of the squad under Luis Enrique. He loves the playing style and the coach and the environment. Everything works for him. We've been winning probably every trophy he could get his hands off. And so why would he go to a dysfunctional Madrid side, where he's got no guarantee of being as important within the squad, where he's going to be in the shadow of Mbappe, who he played with in PSG and actually didn't get along with? Why would he go back to that? Yeah, it makes no sense. If anything, Vitinha is indicated that he's got mad respect for for Man City and Pep Guardiola and so on. So yeah, like him going back to the UK at some point because he tried there and didn't work early in his career. He wants to set the record straight and he wants to work for Pep. I could kind of see that happening and it would kind of make sense. Him going to Real Madrid, like, dude, please. I mean, never say never because it's world football again, but like, guys, like, please stop thinking of that and like stop bothering us with it, really. Like, that's the most important part. Like, stop bothering us with it. Anyway, this is what I had for you guys for this I'm back video. The Mercato is officially open and you get it. Like the madness is only getting started. There's going to be a lot to talk about. Hopefully, hopefully we'll get, I think, one player or two in PSG. I think that'd be nice. I think, I still do believe, I believe very strongly in the squad we have. I think we have a great squad of players. And I think with players returning from injury, having a little bit of a Christmas break, we'll have to see what kind of conditions they're in throughout January. But I don't feel like I've got a knife under my throat that we absolutely need to buy players. But that said, if there's opportunities to strengthen the squad in every position, really, we should be thinking of it, we should be looking at it, and we should be open to it. So we'll be talking about that throughout January, as always. Beauty of Mercato is that there's always going to be chatter about it. And in the meantime, we've got our next game coming up this weekend against Paris FC. So we're going to be talking about that as well. And the Parisian derby that was 35 years in the making. So for now, this is what I had for you guys. I'm back. And don't forget, as always, ici c'est Paris!